Hello, how are you guys doing? So, yeah, well, relocation and dogs don't do really well. I love relocating. I've done a lot of relocation, and trust me, I hate it. I started my first relocation when I was like in my mom's belly, traveling from Greece to Germany. Halfway, we made a U turn. I didn't like it going away from Greece. So we went back again, and voila, I was born in Greece. Hi, I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and we're going to talk about how to help dogs before, during, and after a location. And it's not as simple as it sounds because in the category relocation, all the dogs who are being rehomed are also included. So you're not getting away with it. So I'm in Eugene, Oregon. And of course, everybody heard about it. We have tsunami warning because of an earthquake somewhere happened in the far west of the Pacific. However, we're safe here and we're having our today show. Now, where are you guys watching from? And I'm sure you guys have the coffee because today we're talking about dogs and having coffee and learn about stuff. And we keep it casual. So, not scientific blah, blah, blah things, just down to earth things. And I know most of you appreciate that. So, who of you have relocated with your dog recently? The other question is, who of you have a senior dog? Important. We're gonna talk about that. And then, who of you have a dog adopted who has been rehomed? Because all these things matter, right? So then I have to kind of give you a heads up that today, last call, is my upcoming workshop, Healing Aggression. And for you who do not know, let me give you an update. Um, Here we go. Ta-da! So that workshop is one of my favorites. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and we discuss about how to heal aggression or aggressive dog behavior because many people try to fix it or punish it or correct it, or maybe somebody or many people often give up on that completely and just are home and put the dog to sleep. But in this 3-hour workshop, and 3 hours is because it's not even enough, but we're going to go through everything. We're going to discuss so many things, understanding how dogs become aggressive. So basically the essential things of aggression. We're going to talk about episodic memory, how dogs recognizing patterns and behaviors, how to improve communication with your dog, which is essential, how to create a secure attachment relationship with your dog, how to read in your dog and reply to your dog's body language, basically how to give him an emotional feedback. And then basically we're going to go through a process to discuss how do we actually heal aggression. Now, um, because so many people ask me, you're going to find out that this is not the price anymore. So I discounted the price. It's $45 now. But I give you a heads up. Places are being taken up, and Zoom only gives me room for 100 people, and we're almost there. So, in that manners, um, hold on, I need to stop that from showing up here. I put the link on the comments so you can check in there and sign up. Last call today. Tomorrow will be too late. So, and yes, I will not do this class recently. It's very intensive, and we have other very important classes to discuss. One upcoming classes is adopting a dog and how to make that a successful event. But today we're going to focus on more on their homing part. So, which one of you again has a dog who's being rehomed? Which one of you have a dog who is a senior or more than one dog? And plus, who of you are planning to relocate or have relocated in the recent past? So, okay, let me ask you a question. Does anybody of you have ever heard the term relocation stress syndrome? Hmm? No? It's weird, right? Because it's actually very common, but nobody talks about it. But you know me, I just cannot keep it. I have to talk about stuff that other people don't talk, because we need to understand certain things, right? And Patty, especially for rescues who deal with relocations a lot, dogs moving from foster, this is the one thing that nobody talks about, but it's so important. Okay. Now, what does relocation syndrome include? Okay, ready? Pen, a long list is coming next. Depression, excessive barking, despair, confusion, indecision, apprehension. No, I'm not talking about people here. I'm talking about dogs, right? Yes, people show the same symptoms. Anxiety, restlessness, sleep disorders. Yep. Dependency, codependency, separation anxiety follow in the same category. Distrust, withdrawn, isolation, negative feelings towards strangers. Does anybody here kind of feel like, oh, wait a minute, what? Negative feelings towards strangers, being upset, resistance, non-compliance. Some people will call it disobedience. I don't like the term obedience because it always includes obey or something bad's going to happen. But I express it in part of non-compliance. Aggressiveness. What a surprise, right? Changing of eating habits, weight change, stomach problems, night terrors, separation anxiety, trauma, PTSD, hyperactivity, and I need a coffee. So for top dogs, these symptoms of relocation stress may be not really noticeable. They're kind of underlying until you have a major trigger. What does trigger includes? Well, you have packages coming in, right? All of a sudden, we have this UPS guy coming in the house, ding dong, and ring the bells, and come in the truck, and open the gate, and close the gate, and go to the door, right? And other things that come into equation is suddenly the dog is kind of thinking about this. Oh, it's kind of a temporary thing, and all of a sudden, it's not. It's like, okay, I want to go home now, and this can be very serious. Now, how do we address these things? And basically, how do we be proactive on those things? First of all, understanding that there is such thing of relocation syndrome, and it's not just simply behavior, it's really a syndrome, and it's totally being taken care of. It can backfire. It can cost the dog's life, because if certain behaviors occur, people suddenly say out of nowhere, and how often people relocate to their relatives, right? Or moved into families, merging families together. All these things is going to happen, and then all of a sudden you're being confronted with a question: me or the dog? And what do you do next? And I know the stories say kind of like, I would never ever do it to my dog. But then you have a marriage in front of your door, you're merging those families, you have kids and people in your house, and all of a sudden that dog is being a jerk, right? And then the whole family calls you out on that. I don't want to be in anybody's shoes. I've been there. I've been through that experience, right? Um, but it can be prevented. And prevented means being proactive and being active, but not reactive. You don't want to be reactive. And I think it's a good time to share that video, because you're not the only one who is interested in that. Some people don't even have a clue that this is an option, right? I guarantee you 99% of those rescues haven't even heard that term ever. But they had to heard the term, we talked about this in the past, about siblings aggression, right? Oh yeah, siblings aggression, duh, it makes sense, right? Well, it's not as simple as that, because I have a whole workshop around that coming up in the future. I would like you to join. To do that, you want to go to my website, holisticdogtraining.org, and subscribe. Simple as that. And first of all, just give you a heads up, you can get those workshops going to my holisticdogtraining.org events and see what's coming up next. Yes, it's my fault. I should have post all the workshops that I want to do, but because of a very specific new event that happened, I had to move all those workshops in the near future, because something very important came up for February. I'm going to give you a heads up on that very soon, so stay tuned on that. And having all those inconsistencies in that changes of environment for the dog and for the people, from fosters to another foster, from a shelter to a foster home, from a foster home to an adopter, from an adopter to another location, right? It can happen. So if we see a dog's lifetime in average about 10 to 12 years, considering myself, I never been more than 5 years in a location, right? And here's why. I know people kind of don't take it seriously. Thank you for Steve for pointing that out. Dogs are not migrating. They're just very local, just like wolves. They have their own territory. They're not overlapping territories. They're very kind of location based because that's the only way to survive. And that comes with certain traits, breed traits. We breed the dogs not to migrate. Imagine you have to migrate with your dog like ducks, right? You don't want that. And taking that in consideration, in our modern times, we are more migrating than ever before in our evolution. Like migration will only happen because of wars. Now, I've got a job in East Coast, take a plane, package everything, put the dog in a cage, poop, up we go to the East Coast or to the West Coast or to North Pole, to South Pole. People go all places. Military people relocate their dogs. They have to. And so they're kind of bounded how big the dogs can be, so being able to transport them. You don't want, and some breeds are actually restricted. You cannot go anywhere. Some locations and some countries, you have to have your dog in quarantine for a very long time. Not going well. And so all these things have to be taken in consideration. Now, for you who are interested, like deep tissue, I have a document. So what I'd like you to do is, I don't want you to share publicly your email, but you can message me either through my website, holisticdogtraining.org, or through my business page, Facebook at Holistic Dog Training, and message me and say, hey, I'm interested in your document. I want to know more about it. And I'll send it to you. I'll send you a copy. Now, where do we start? We start with being consistent. And why do I say that? Because the only way the dog feels trustworthy around what you're doing is being consistent. The time he's going out, the time he's going in, the time he's feeding, because dogs in their genetics are programmed to see that consistency as a baseline. Now, if you're planning in the future, let's say for the next 5 years, to move, you upgrade your property, you're fixing up your house, all that's already changes coming in. You're having a new job in mind, you want to change, you're kind of done with this one, or, your girlfriend is on the other side, or your boyfriend wants to move in, all these things take in consideration. You want to plan ahead. And I know 5 years sounds like a long term, but here's the thing. Your dog will be 5 years older. And so you're talking about the senior. Some dogs have already health issues. So we need to take that in consideration. We need to make sure the dogs remain healthy. We want to make sure that if we make that decision and we look for a home or a property, our dog can come with us. So you have to do some research. So before we moved here to Oregon with my wife, it took us about 2 years to find a place, which means, we had 3-4 dogs at the time. We work online, so we had to have internet. And it took us 2 years basically to actually go to a property and start putting monies down. 2 years. And we had planned a year before that, plus getting married. So we had basically in 5 years package, 2 major events happening, actually 3 major events happening, because we were living in an RV for a very long time when moving from Arizona to Connecticut, to Oregon. So we had 3 stages, and trust me, dogs were very stressed, and I knew what to do, right? But I took all my precautions. Instead of a regular 34-footer, 25-footer RV, we got a very large RV, bigger than we ever kind of at the edge of stretching our finances to get, because we needed the room for our dogs being there 24 hours a day. Living in an RV is not as easy a thing as it's not just a property. It's just a little tiny tin can with nice windows and slide outs and nice kitchen in there. That's pretty much it. Okay. It's It's smaller than a New York apartment, like a mini apartment. You have a bathroom, you have a squeezed-in toilet, you have a queen bed. That's all you can fit in there. You have a cabinet. You have some cabinets for the kitchen. You have a little stove. You have a little sink. You have a little place. You have a little dining, and then you have whatever is left. You have to get rid of because you have to fit the dogs in. So basically, I moved out a 3-seated couch to fit my dogs in. Now, and that was proactively thinking that we need an RV. So we plan ahead to sell our house so we could buy the RV without cash flow. Then, building our credit and moving to another place, which places are accepting more than 2 dogs. There are regulations in town. So we couldn't live downtown. We had to live out of town. And then how do we get these dogs in the RV customized? We had 3 dogs at that time, 4 dogs, 3 seniors and 1 kind of extreme senior, and then ourselves. So how many people fit in that RV, right? There's a lot of things to do. Plus, we had to package. So the story started when we started packaging carton boards. And note that a year before that, I moved from Texas to Arizona, or 2 years before that. So my dogs have been in 3 years in 2 major locations, as simple as that. So yeah, I have experience with that. I've paid the price. So, what do we do? Let's get prepared. So, start with, in your mindset, making a 3 or 4 year plan. What will it look like 5 years from now? Because you need to know where you're hitting at, right? It's no different from having kids. So, take in consideration, check local laws, right? Now, see what laws and regulations are in that town that you want to take in consideration. Maybe you want to check in 2 or 3 states. Check in with ones have bully breed regulations, or which ones have limited how many dogs you can have. Even in the RV, you can only have 2 dogs in an RV place. I had to lie to those people and take only 2 dogs at a time in 2 different directions, so nobody makes the assumption I was actually changing a jacket, so people don't see me. Oh, it's the guy with the big dogs. Oh, it's the guy with the small dogs, right? Then you want to make sure that where you're located, actually, there are also fear-free vets available. Or I was looking for holistic veterinarians or integrative veterinarians. I'm not moving in an area where I don't have a vet and have to travel like hundreds of miles. Then the other thing we have to in consideration that our dogs, before we move or we relocate, have to be microchipped. And which means you have to actually call the company and change the directions you're going. And by the way, are you sure your dog has your name on it? Because sometimes dogs are microchipped and do not contain any other information other than the company that owns the microchip, right? And then make sure that all the identifications are accurate. Plus, you have to capture all the papers from your veterinarians, right? Get copies of it. Let them print out, send them an email. Most of them have PDF files. And now the next thing you want to do is you want to prepare your dog for the trip. Right? Now, how do we prepare a dog for the trip? Oh, perfect. Buy a dog crate. Honey, did we buy the dog crate big enough? Good. Put the dog in there. Let's package the car. No. Your dog has to get used to it. And I know many of you think like dogs are den animals and so they're fine with the crate. No, they're not. Dogs are not den animals, and we are not hospital animals because we were born in a hospital, right? So dogs are just animals who give birth to their puppies in a very safe space. And usually it's a place where it's difficult to access. There could be tires, car tires, under a car truck, in sheds, in bins, you name it. Where would you give birth to your child if that would be in nature? You would try to find a place where you feel safe. It doesn't make you a den animal for that. However, until the puppies can move around, they're likely safe in that location. Now, that doesn't mean that crates are the good place to be. Actually, crates were invented in the late 60s to transport. No, sorry. Crates were invented. I'm not saying any stupid things, but they were likely invented around the Second World War to transport dogs with the aeroplane. So military actually hired somebody to start building crates for transporting the dogs to wars. So it's not a forever invention. It just recently came into practice. That means dogs have not genetically known the crates as a place to be. Therefore, we need to work with that. So you have to accustom your dog. Don't let me explain to you how to do dog training. Okay, there are other people out there who have done the job before me, but make sure that you condition your dog to feel comfortable in the crate. It takes time. Okay, sometimes it takes a month, maybe two. Sometimes it gets very quickly, but don't rely on doing that a week before you leave. You're gonna fail really bad, and you're gonna cause your dog anxiety and stress and even trauma. So, crate training your dog, meaning is crate training your dog and not just closing the door and leaving, right? Then the other thing is, how do you transport your dog from point A to point B? Now, are you planning to do a road trip, like taking a truck and then tow your car? You know, your dog cannot fit in the car while you're towing, right? It's illegal, first. And B, you're going to lose your dog, or, bad things can happen. Something happens to your car, your dog is gone, right? So, in your plans to relocate, you have to consider A, be as close to your dog as possible. Eventually, you drive your dog, okay? Or you hire a relative to do that for you. You pay them a car, you pay the transportation, you pay their expenses, and they travel with your dog while you're traveling with things. And it's not a big deal. You can take a car from point A to point B and then fly back, okay? But the safest way to go is with your dog next to you. Now, is flying with the airplane a good option? No. No, no, no. Is it the only option? No. There's so many other options. Well, you can take your dog on a trip with a train. But I'm lying. I don't know. In Europe, you can do that. I don't know about US law. My bad. I should research that before that. So give me a heads up if you know if dogs are allowed in train in cabins. Theoretically, yes. Sure, dogs who are service dogs, but I'm not sure about regular dogs. So, my bad. But easy to travel. Now, is it a good idea to hire a transporter? It's a slippery slope. I don't know if you heard of those accidents with 100, 200 dogs being killed on an accident in a trip, or dogs died, 30 dogs a couple of months ago in a parking lot in a U-Haul truck. Guy took dogs from one place to the other in a U-Haul truck without even air conditioning in the summer, right? So don't trust transporters unless you have clear background check and talk to these people and met these people and talk to rescues who do this transport and actually talk also on the receiving end, not on the sending end, right? So other thing that we need to look for is making sure that when you choose a car, that you fit a crate in it. You cannot have a dog loose in a car for that period of time, because think of that. You're going to use that car to put things in there. And the only thing the dog will be safe or falling over carpets and boxes and kids' toys and loose debris in the car is having the dog in a safe crate. Now, what I did basically for my relocation, I actually bought a new car. I sold my previous one. I got a new car, got myself into leasing kind of stuff. But I went with a measuring tape and was measuring every car length. And I was like the pain in the butt of all these dealers. I went from Toyota to Mazda to Honda to Nissan. I measured all the trucks with in mind. I have to fit 3 crates in that truck, in their minivan. So I created a compartmentalization of compartment. You know what I'm talking about. I created compartments. So I fit 2 crates in the back and 1 big crate in the center, where I could fit my big dogs in the big crates and the small dogs in the small crates. And then on top of it, I put a top sheet panels, and on top of it, then I had my stuff that I had for daily access. So on the car, I have anything that I needed just for the transport from point A to point B, including food, blankets, jackets, leashes, and anything the dogs would need for bedding and sleeping. And that was it. And all the crates were connected to each other, right? With zip ties, and plus I got a 24-inch fan in there, right? To circulate the air because dogs get easily overheated. Plus, I had to buy a device, a transformer, who transformed 12-volt batteries in 120-volt power. Okay, so I can run the fan from the batteries while I'm traveling. And trust me, in that van, if everything is packed in, you have a lot of heat accumulation there from the exhaust, from the windows, from the sun. So I insulated the windows from the inside with those bubble aluminum foils that you wrap, your stuff and insulating. And plus, I had under the carpets also noise reduction. So it was nice, really a cozy place. It took me 3 days to set everything up and do a couple of test runs because imagine that. You're stopping in a gas station, you can't just open the door. Okay? You have to open the back gate and open the one crate, make sure everybody has water because you're standing still so you can add and supplement waters and foods. Take one dog out, give him a good 15 minutes to 20 minutes run, right? Every gas station, 20 minutes walking. So every dog, every gas station was an additional 1 hour of traveling, right? So every gas station I stopped to fill gas, I had my dogs 20 minutes out. So if you can take 2 dogs out, that makes my time much easier. But I wanted my dogs to have time. I didn't want to push the situation. We did a long trip, right? So we stopped for we had dinner, we had lunch, right? And then we took the dogs out. Now, you cannot just park everywhere. You need to stop in a gas station where you actually have access to a place for the dogs to pee and poop. You cannot just do it in a truck stop because there is no place. And I'm sure nobody wants like if you pee on a tire. So now rest stops are the best locations to do that. Then you have to have for each dog in your car 1 gallon of water per dog, right? So if the gallon is empty, you have to buy a new one. So if you buy in the gas station, you have to supplement that water that you're missing, basically get another bucket of water. Simple things like that. It's a lot of planning, and the list will be long, right? Then the other thing that you need to consider is packing up. You have to remember what things you need: medication for your dogs, paperwork for your dogs. If in any state they pull you over, you have to prove that's your dog, right? And your dog is up to date to vaccinations and is immune. So if you lack one of those paperworks, you're going to end up at the vet's office paying extra money and double vaccinate your dog for no stupid reason. Now, other thing that you have to also plan ahead is training your dog. If your dog is not good on a leash and is reactive to people, you will not be able to do a trip. Why? Have you ever thought about you have a flat tire, right? Flat tire means for you sometimes to access that tire, you have to empty your car. Why? Because your tire is underneath most of your stuff. I thought of that last minute and I was like, oh my God, my spare tire. So I took the spare tire out and put it on top of my stuff, on top of the car. Smart, right? Was my idea. I had no clue. I was like, hey, dude, you have to eventually change your tires, right? And I was like, yeah, sure. Just pull over and like, uh-oh. I tied all the crates together with each other and against the car. There's no way I would pull it out. And where do I put my dogs meanwhile? Then the other thing you have to consider, what if you have a car breakdown? Sure, you're going to call, the tow guys, right? Do you know that the tow guy would not tow your car with dogs in there, right? And guess what happened? I called my insurance and says, hey guys, I want an insurance plan that includes a spare car when my dog is in service. Costs extra money. But the moment I have that issue, I can have somebody get a car so I can move the things to one car to the other before even being towed. Yes, right? So the other thing you have to take in consideration that you eventually have to stay over in a hotel room. Have you thought about that? Now, if this guy's yelling and barking at your car out of the car while you're trying to book a room, they don't let you in that house. And then your dogs have to stay in the car. Would you like to do that? And okay, let's say you do that, which is not something I recommend, right? What if somebody parks next to your car? Right? They're going to call the police on you. So all these things you have to consider. So other thing you have to do is prepare them for what's going to happen ahead of time. remember that if you know where you're moving and you know already, oh, I have the kitchen and the living room, the dinette, and all these things like the sink and the pantry, can I move my dog's feeding system? Can I move it to the same place as is, or do I need to change it? So the best time to change it is at your existing place. So today, dogs, we're gonna eat there. Tomorrow we're gonna eat a little bit more over there, and after tomorrow we're gonna eat over there, because you want to help them adjust to this new change of locations. So basically, what I did is I recreated in my RV the same feeding process and same feeding arrangements as I had in the house. So my two little guys together on one side, and on the left was the big guy, and the third guy who was very fine eating in this room. So I decided, because of lack of space, we're going to feed the big guy in this crate and the other big guy next to his bed and the other two guys against the kitchen. So we already planned it out. Trust me, even planned out, it took the one dog 2 days to start eating, because like, I'm not in my home, I'm not eating anything, I'm going to starve to death, right? So then other thing you have to think ahead is, eventually you need to chemical support for your dog. Sometimes you need to have medical supplement. I hate it. Trust me, I hate medication for my dogs. But sometimes you have to be safe. And Benadryl for your dog is not a safe travel situation, right? The last thing you want is a passed out dog who's feeling dizzy and nauseous and not feeling well. So there are so many calming supplements over the counter that are kind of like not really trustworthy. And then if you arrange with a veterinary homeopath, or you're going to talk to an integrative veterinarian or a holistic veterinarian, they have a variety of things to pick from. So don't hesitate. Give them a call. Says, hey, we're going to plan a crate in a couple of weeks. What can we do? And even if that means probiotic supplements, as simple as that. Then you have anti-anxiety gear, right? So anti-anxiety gear, for example, one of my dogs like to have his head pressured. So I have kind of like a dog hoodie. You pull it out. It looks like a sock, inverted, like a double sock, and it pressures the head a little bit. And then I have those anxiety stretchers, Thunder shirts called, specific brand, and they did a great job. Plus, us traveling in the tin can, every thing dropping on the roof was kind of a disaster, especially with one dog having trauma, being found in a box in a garbage bin. Everything that makes a weird sound is a trigger. Okay, now if you're packaging your stuff, take in consideration that it's easier for your dog sometimes to not be present if you're going through yelling, screaming, packing. Where's my freaking tape? Where's my marker? Where did I put the boxes, Mom? All these things. Keep your dog out. Hire a pet sitter. Have your dog staying in boarding, kind of getting used to being a little bit different a little bit. So my favorite place to go is rover.com. But you have to really scan and ask questions and visit the people and do 1 or 2 test runs before you actually decide for a pet sitter. That's my tip. Now, one thing that I used to consider, and I know dog things can stink a lot, I would start washing the things way earlier than last day. Okay. Now, if I wash things, I use usually dye-free and the super highly anti-allergenic washing detergents. So you want to make sure that you go very, very pure on this kind of stuff, right? When you wash stuff, and make sure when you wash them, make multiple rinsing cycles, not just one. Don't go cheap, right? Now, don't use deodorizers. You're not one of those people, right? You don't want to be one of my list. Do not, right? So the next thing you want to do is making sure that all the toys, the favorite toys, are the dogs in the box for the traveling, and the rest goes in a box for relocation. And I know that people like to clean everything, but I would say that the toys that going in the truck or in the RV or in your car or in the transport, do not wash. Wash the other ones, okay? Now, prepare for the worst. As I said, make sure you have for each dog individual folders with the medications. Hold on a second. Oh, here you go. Take one of those vanilla folders, right? And make sure that everything is there in little folders with the dog's name on it. And so in an emergency situation, trust me, you don't have the brain to remember what the box is. So you take that folder, put it in another folder with a rubber band, and put it behind your car seat, behind the driver's seat or co-driver's seat, in the back pocket. And if the kids want to put something in there, no, the folder goes in there, including your kids' folder. So these are the things that you need emergency, because if something happens to your car, you will not be able to get access to your car. You can grab things on your way out, right? Then, did I forget anything? Good. Now, don't go crazy with feeding. What I did, I get these Ziploc bags for big dogs. You need a gallon bag. For smaller dogs, a smaller bag, a quart bag. And so you're going to make meals in a bag, right? Each meal is in a bag. And in the bag, you have all the supplements included. Pills, pockets, drops, everything is in there, right? Including cookies and snacks. This is one bag. So you know how much you have left, and you can plan ahead. If you have a change of plans, you can still planning ahead. Or you have 5 bags, we have 2 days left. Okay, we got this, right? And don't feed them too much. Here's why. They're not moving. They're just in the car stuck all day long. So you have minimum exercise. So that way, you're talking about an extreme couch potato situation. So you can definitely reduce 1/3 of the meal of a daily intake, right? Now, you can add some snacks, which will add the missing supplements. Make sure that all the things that you have do not include any raw things, because in the car it's going to get bad. But you can prepare some stuff like cookies, bake your own cookies. I know some of you will have a frosting box in there, but do not mix dog stuff with your human grade stuff. The last thing you want is a contamination of your dog's food with human stuff, not the other way around, unfortunately. Just kidding. Now, one other thing that I would like you to do is think about how your dog likes Himalayan chews, right? Now, since each dog is in contained place, having Himalayan chews and having antlers, I don't like bully sticks for multiple reasons. They're so thin, they roll around. You make a turn, all of a sudden you have a bully stick next to the bedding in between the crate, and then you have a yelling, screaming, trying to get this out of there, and you're driving the car and you have to pull over, get the dog out of the crate to get this bully stick out of this bed. Don't get me started. Other thing you can do is having some things tied up on the top of the crate, like hanging popsicle, for example, where your dog can chew on that, but it's actually not being able to hold down. So use bigger size things, big chew toys, big antlers. Don't go to the thin ones. Don't be cheap, okay? No cheap sticks. Better big than wrong. Anything else? Yeah. Plan your trip according to your dog's feeding schedule. So if you feed your dogs at 5, give your dog half an hour to chill out. So you're pulling over at 4, right? Fill up gas, find a hotel room, log in, make sure that at feeding time everybody is calm, because otherwise your dogs will not eat and will make your night to hell. Now, if you need to move your dog secretly from the car to the room so nobody can see it, you want to make sure that you get a bottom arrangements, like first floor, where you can back in with the car all the way to the end, and then basically bring one dog in, okay, in your room. Now, you have so many ways to set up in your room for multiple dogs, even if you don't have crates. You have luggage, right? So you have usually a bathroom area, and you have kind of a bathroom prep area / kitchen / office desk. Underneath, there's a lot of room. So think about that. If you can have some, baby gates like this expandable one, so you can set them up over there, backed up with a couple of luggages. Or if you're super smart, you have a spare crate in your car somewhere hidden. You can unfold it and set it up. Now, my preference for the little guys are these foldable stuff, hexagonal playpens. They're literally as thin as basically they're really really small, right? And you can unfold them. They open up like an umbrella kind of thing, and then you set them up. Everybody's safe. It's a cover on top, so if you need to go lunch or something, they have everything in there. They have water, they have food, they have toys. It's kind of like a playpen. Perfect. The bigger guys, it's more a sneak and a sneak. One thing you can do is you can have a harness and you can use a leash and kind of hook them up in an area so they don't run free around. And most important things, hang outside of the door. Do not disturb. Do not clean the room. The last thing you want is Maria or whoever comes in the room try to vacuum your bedroom, including the dog. You don't want that. So then once you arrived at your home, finally, yoo-hoo! Don't make a party of it. The first thing you have to do is take care of your dogs. Rule number 1, okay? Before you take the dogs out of your car, set everything up. The bed, the water bowl, the food bowl. Close all the areas your dog doesn't have to go into. Your dog doesn't have to go in the bedroom. Your dog doesn't have a clue where he's going. So make sure you limit the ranging of your dog in a very small place that you can gate up. Okay? Now, bed first, toys next, chew toys next, water, food, place everything set up. Then you take your dog for a walk. Of course, you have pet-proofed your new place. And especially if you just moved in a place where these packages are all over the place and the construction is not over, you know how that goes, right? You want to make sure that everything is clean. Pay somebody to clean up your house before the dogs go in. The last thing you want is a dog chewing on a plastic bag and suffocate because the contractor forgot to pull it up, right? Now, keep your dog on the leash. Please keep your dog on the leash for at least a month. Okay? Now, do yourself a favor, get a 15-foot leash. Okay? No, not a retractable leash. Unless you're a professional trainer and you know your stuff and your dog are obedient, even there, try to avoid retractable leash. I have a retractable leash, especially for traveling, but my dogs are good on recall. I'm such a liar. No, they are. And I hook them up on a harness, and so they have 30 feet to move around. But I'm not meeting other dogs. I'm not meeting other people. All they do is have access to go to the bathroom without any restrictions. Plus, they can run a little bit. 30 feet on one side, 30 feet to the other. This is 60 feet back and forth. Plus, they can run around me in a radius of 30 feet. R times 2P, if I remember right? So there's a lot of square footage your dog can play around in this yard. Plus, you don't lose your dog. Plus, it don't have all this cable stuff going around. Now, for my big dogs, I have a heavy-duty leash. So make sure you not go cheap. The last thing you want, it happened to me once, that on his way out of the car, the hook broke off my super cheap leash because I was cheap back then. Okay? And then I had the leash in my hands and the dog running in the bayou. Yes, in the bayou, you heard correctly. I was in Louisiana, and guess where my dog ran into? I think in Louisiana it's called bayou, right? On a highway, Route 20, if I remember right, stopped by, took my dog out. He had kind of like a stress poopies. So I opened the bucket, the dog jumped out of the car, and I was trying to close the door because of, cars traveling by on the highway. Guess what happened? Ching! Up he went through the fence link in this entire stretch of those hundreds of miles of I-20. There was a hole in that fence, and that stupid dog, it was me stupid, found that hole and ran into it. And I was like, okay, crocodiles, please don't bite my dog. He came out finally. But I'm telling you, my heart went out in my pants. Okay, I pooped it out. So, long story short, my dog is still with me, so everything was fine. Don't make the same mistake. Now, as I told you before, you want to reorganize your new place to be similar as possible to your previous familiar space in your previous home, right? Now, once that is set, then you can take your dog out for a walk. Now, keep in mind, set up your territory. You want the dog to get used to that territory so he doesn't have a need to go further out. Keep your dog on the inside of that three-dimensional territory. Don't let your dog be all over the place. Let him smell, let him exchange data, information, let him pee and let him poop, and that's fine. Don't forget the poop bag. Now, on your way, on your walk there, you want to have somebody walk ahead of you, making sure you don't have any loose dogs, you don't have any weirdos next door barking at you and your dog like crazy. So you want to make sure everything is safe, right? Then, once you secure safety, then that new world of your dog will be fun. Then you go to your house. But that is an entire workshop in itself. So keep up in mind, the workshop will be called Key to Successful Adoption. It will be a 2 to 3 hour workshop with all the details, including dealing with aggression and all this stuff. But one thing I wanted to mention, you are a very important factor to your dog's new lifestyle. I know some people going through big changes. Some people move away because of domestic violence. Some people move away because of jobs. Some people move away because of foreclosure. Everybody has his own personal thing. And it comes with a lot of emotional charge. So when that happens, you want to make sure that you are a solid foundation to your dog. Okay, I see you guys have a lot of questions. Great. Dogs don't have the same ability, correct? And how do you feel about tethering in a vehicle? Yes, I totally recommend tethering in the vehicle. And one thing that I see very often is that people miscalculate. Now, let's take an example. How much do you think a dog weighs if somebody hits you on the front while you're standing at the traffic light with 30 miles an hour? Well, let's run some numbers. Let's give me a guess. How much does your dog weigh when a car crashes your car while you're standing with 30 miles an hour? And let's say a number kind of 30 pounds. Any idea? So, I don't have the numbers, but one thing I can tell you, it's about a ton of dog weight that will hit you in the back. And we know this from children. So approximately 30 miles an hour, it's really a very strong punch without deceleration. It literally, boom, okay? And your dog will continue that speed out of your window. If that car crashes in front of you, that movement your car does backwards, your dog will remain static and will hit you in the back with 30 miles an hour. Okay? Now, if you hit another car with 30 miles an hour, but the other car drives 30 miles an hour, that's 60 miles an hour. So your 30-pound dog will hit you with 60 miles an hour on your back, is going through your windshield, just like that, with 30 miles an hour, to be more exact. Okay? Now, you guys who know about playing pool billiard, you know what I'm talking about. You have also a spinning on his way out. Now, make sure everything that you buy for your dog's safety is certified by an organization, third-party organization, from the Department of Transportation or any credible institution in Europe, TÜV, UL. I don't know this other creditory organizations, but make sure that that harness you're buying also the tests are performed for that harness, because what people do, they're advertising, they're doing tests, only tested one harness, barely made it through the tests, and now they're selling that as a sales point, but you're not getting the harness they're testing, you get something else. So make sure that what you're buying is also there. Reviews are helpful, but they're not. So they tell you how people feel about the harness, but those people are not educated engineers. They will not be able to make that assessment appropriately. They just tell them, oh, it was cute. Right. Now, I know of harnesses where basically you strap your dog on a seat in your chair against the seat, like a baby, strapped. Like it's kind of like taking a duct tape and duct tape your dog on a seat. Like crazy is that? Your dog needs to move. So there are certified crates, car crates, if you want to go fancy and extra safe, that actually go with your car. They're expandable, they're stretchable, so you get the maximum room out of your car. Right? Crates are better than tethering. Tethering is better than loose. In the back seat, better in the front seat. On the foot room in front of you, safer than being on the back seat. So a dog who's a small dog, not bigger than 30 pounds, I would definitely feel comfortable putting my dog in the footrest room, because the insurance doesn't want to pay. So these areas are the best protected. Yep, right? Because the insurance doesn't want to pay for your leg. So I've seen dogs being exploded out of the windows on the crash. I've seen people losing their dogs on a stupid car accident where a truck hit them in the back, windshield broke, and the dog was loose. And by the time people got out of the car, the dog was gone or hit by another car. So that said, we talked a lot, and I know it sounds boring, but remember, when the time comes, I hope you remember that show. And keep in mind, mark it, put it in your save. So what you can do is go up there and save that video in your Facebook page or in your favorite on YouTube. Of course, you can like it so you can remember it easier. Like your YouTube, follow on Facebook, and if you're on Instagram, on LinkedIn, I think you can save it too. Or one thing is just copy the link and put it in your folder so to access it later. And of course, you can share it. So leftovers Q&A, hit me with your questions while I'm having my coffee. No questions? Good. So that means I answered pretty much everything, which is great. And I would love to see you in the workshop tomorrow. Get ready. Good. Awesome. No questions. We're good to go. Then it was a pleasure talking to you. If you're planning your trip, good luck. If you're looking for a home, go for it. We were super lucky. I still have work to do in my house. Yeah, some of you know what I'm doing here. Today, actually, my wife is planning to do the kitchen counter. And I have to prepare some stuff. So we have one more question. What do you recommend if the dog is too big for the biggest crate? Good. Let me explain to you. Actually, I'm going to pull it up for you. Car guard. See, let me show you something here that they're called dog car barriers. Okay. Now, let me share the link with you so we're talking the same language here, because you're going to end up falling for the wrong thing. So, you see that barrier? Good. Now, what this does, it separates that area from that area. Now, this part here is a European car, to be more exact. It's an Opel model. Here in US, they're kind of like, I don't remember which brand it is, Dodge or something like that. And so these are OEM original parts made for those particular cars. Prefer the manufacturer's systems because they are properly attached to the car interior and they're not aftermarket scratchy, pushing, clamping things, right? They don't do nothing. They're very cheap and they do nothing exactly. Now, going back here, still you can see it. These are another version of it. Okay, this is quite serious. So you see that one is attached to the car, and that frame that you can see here, let me see if I can go closer in here. This one is locking into the seat adjustment hooks, and this one is just a barrier. So that's a good option. You bring your 2 dogs in here, or 1 luggage and 1 dog. Okay, plus you have the maximum space, plus nobody can leave here. So these are good things. So the first thing you're going to do is check with your car manufacturer, see if they have something original, and if it costs extra money, it's worth the money. You can always resell it with your car. Okay, one other thing that I see very often are those cheap things. Okay, I would say take it with a grain of salt. These things, these hooks are attached to the seatbelt areas. I would say they're kind of okayish. These links up there, some cars have up on the very top where the handles are. They're pretty solid. They're touching there. But honestly, 75-pound dogs will shoot through that, no problem. You will see that plastic piece somewhere on the highway. Okay. Now, those nets are high density nets. They're safety nets. So I would say, yeah, looks okay, but take it with a grain of salt. See the weight regulation. Some of them tells you up to that kind of weight that keeps your dog safe. Now, there are some specific crates, metal crates like this one. Yeah, it's a very inexpensive solution. But it really doesn't save your dog. It just keeps him contained. So if somebody hits you from the back, that crate will not be safe for your dog. It will be actually explode. And even if you zip tie it, it will not make much difference. However, it will reduce the dog's impact. He will not hit any corners, but it kind of like it would not be the perfect option. Okay. Now, something more professional. Let me see if I can find that here. I have to put that as a crate, car guard crate. These are more serious. Let me see if there is something more solid. Okay, these are wire crates. That. Now, this is an aluminum crate. Kind of sort of is okayish, but it's really just for your eyes only. Something that's more serious, I would say, are these ones. Make sure they are welded and not screwed together. Let's find one that's kind of very solid. Oh, they don't even have one. And my internet is low. My apologies. So I'm gonna put some links in the documents. If you want that document, email me, and I can send you a copy of that. Yeah, and yeah, they cost a lot of money. So you can calculate about $1,000. You're not going under 900. I'll tell you that. But you know what? There you can resell them. Good. Okay. So it was nice having you guys today. and looking forward to see you in my workshop tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And the theme would be aggression, how to heal aggression. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, it looks like this. Good. On my website, holisticdogtrain.org, you're going to click on Healing Aggression with Dogs, and you're going to fetch your ticket. But I give you just a heads up, by tomorrow, there may not be any seats left. We have only 100 spaces left for Zoom, and they're almost sold out. So don't wait too long. So thanks again for joining today. And, we had that already. Good. Then, see you soon. Thanks for joining, and give your dog a hug. Okay. From me, okay? Bye-bye.